Today, playing the dual roles of Beige and Heather, it's Kathleen!
Hello! I love my wife. Hello, I'm Beige. Look at my long, Look at my long, lustrous hair. And I'm Heather, and I endure him, but I also love him in a stoic, endury kind of way.
It's like they're in the room with us right now.
I know.
Hey everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to ChillPoint, the show where we talk about the week's video game news and also talk about the episode of Checkpoint that went up yesterday, which was very entertaining. And I mean, we'll get into the specific stories they talked about, but the post show conversations where with Beige talking about his theories about the new bred Pokemon and how that prehistoric Pokemon people apparently maybe used them in order to make their, leaven their bread and so forth. And that's where that came from.
That was, as somebody who was surprised by that, because I didn't read Beige's story before I watched it, I was just like, this is a lot. This is a deep, rich canon you've invented. You've put a lot of thought into that. And then this is the idea that you've chosen to give me with all that effort? How cruel of you.
I mean, speaking of deep, rich canon, I very much have enjoyed the YouTube comments. People, and this is not just in the YouTube comments for our video, but in the discourse in general, coming up with what future evolutions there might be.
Yes.
I've my favorites so far have been Doberman.
Oh.
Also purebred.
Oh. That's really good.
Those are I feel like those are real solid.
My Graham was like, "Oh, people are gonna have to come up with evolutions," which did not occur to me right away because I'm not a true Pokemon fan. But the one I came up with was this. I put no effort into it. I was just like, "Oh, like Barquette," and it's like not a baguette. He's a long, skinny dog, but he's a Barquette.
I like it. I like it.
That's a Pokemon Company level pun.
It's, to be honest, I feel like there could be a game, a Pokemon-esque game, where you collect and train just like animal pastry crossbreeds.
Oh.
Like, I don't know, like, I feel like there's way too much depth in here for just to be wasted on, like, one Pokemon.
They've also already got some, like, small animals that are there's, like, a cream there's like a creamy Pokemon, Alcremie, already that could be in your pastry shop, right? Like, it's not the only, like, sweet food-related Pokemon. This is inexplicably a well they've gone to before.
Yeah. I mean, there's the ice cream one. There's
coolish.
There's I mean that's the nice thing. Like, there's also a lot of discourse about the discourse talking about Pokemon. There's a lot of people talking about the two legendary Pokemon that are that turn into like motorcycles and then a glider and like a speedboat. Because they're like your transport, I guess.
I mean, to me, that seems like you either get the legendary Pokemon very early in the game, or you get them so late that you're ready to throw the controller through a window by the time you get to them. Like, isn't the legendary Pokemon supposed to be something that happens at the end of the game? But don't you need to get around efficiently before then? I
know. Maybe they're not the legendary Pokemon. Maybe they're just like another cool Pokemon that hangs out with you. I don't know.
Maybe this is like, hello, you are the chosen one. You get a Pokemon early.
You get a Pokemon motorcycle.
Yeah.
Woo!
Go bananas, special child.
Previous.
Penelope would love that.
Well, previous Pokemon games, you got like bicycle. Screw that.
Yeah, exactly. This is wish fulfillment, right?
The but the amount of people who are like, isn't this totally weird that there's like a Pokemon turns into a motorcycle, but like Pokemon is at the stage now where there's literally nothing that they can do that would be like, no,
Yeah.
that's too weird for Pokemon.
No, the only thing that they couldn't
Like
do is like have a dildo Pokemon. They couldn't do that, but that's it.
But that's not because it's too weird. It's just because it would be like an adult thing.
Yeah, exactly. They couldn't do like there's all sorts of things they can't do that I'm not going to name specifically in that wheelhouse.
But like,
But think of the
but in
line.
terms of like two bizarre things, like it's just Pokemon. That like the Pokemon are already so silly and bizarre. There's no way that they can. I feel like there's no way they can be like, no, this ruins Pokemon. It's not. It used to be more grounded. Now it's not cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah. I mean, I might as well just jump forward to the Pokemon. I don't know if there's any other info to talk about the Pokemon story, but I do. Of course, I love the way, as every new iteration of Pokemon, like whenever they release like a bunch of new Pokemon for whatever the new game is, there'll be like one Pokemon that's like nominated as, this is the Pokemon that we will all die for.
Yeah.
This is the Pokemon that's going to get all the fan art.
Right.
There was the pig one was the last one.
Oh yeah.
I forget what his name was.
No, I don't remember either. Everybody really liked that. Everybody liked all the starters from this generation, though. Like everybody found something to like, which is rare because normally there's one that's
Lechonk,
like
right?
Lechonk.
That was the pig one.
I thought the duck was very suave looking as well. Anyhow, everybody yeah, all the starters were good. I don't know. Do people really love Bread the Dough Dog?
There is. I mean, I guess it depends on what you evaluate as love, but yeah, there is a lot of excitement.
Let's see.
And also, well, the great thing about it is that there's, like I was saying, with there's been lots of people drawing not only Fido, but other pastries as dogs for like Fido's buddies.
Right.
Like Fido as like an Eevee style, like multiple evolution one could be very cool.
Oh yes, you get that's
You could turn into like different types of buns depending on what thing you put
and
it
different
with.
breeds of dogs.
Yeah.
So can you imagine if there is what kind of bun do you marry to a whippet? That would make Matt Griffiths very happy. If there was like a tiny dog in a sweater with an intense look, but also bred.
Yeah. What's a kind of hard, narrow, crusty bread?
Yeah, maybe that's your baguette dog. Right?
Maybe, yeah.
4 thin, perfect little baguette paws. Very drawable. Anyhow.
I saw a drawing for a corgi Wasson.
Oh, okay.
Croissant corgi. It was pretty. Yeah,
right.
Beagle Bagel I've definitely seen.
Yes.
Anyway.
And people, when I was talking about how the only thing that Nintendo can't do, or Pokemon Company can't do a Pokemon of, is like a sex toy, and people were like, "Well, I mean, some of them are very phallic," and it's like, no, that's just a thing that happens to be that shape. That's your problem that you think it's weird and phallic. That was not
Pokemon
intended.
are pure.
Yeah, exactly. You're putting that mojo on it. But like I'm talking about like Vibratom, like a Rotom that's also a vibrator and has like the tagline, "Every explorer's favorite Pokemon." Right? Like it's obvious what it is. That's the only thing they can't do. Sorry, I thought of that.
Yeah,
while reading
yeah.
chat, and I was like, oh, I have to get that thought out of my head.
And speaking of getting thoughts out of our head, this also continues what I'm very happy with as a graphical thing that we've been doing, or that I started doing, was the in cases where either I don't want to, or it's funnier to not actually do a graphic for a thing, just doing a graphic of the note that the person left for me in the doc. In this case, Graham's saying, absolutely do not make me a graphic for this, in reference to Marmite feet.
I saw people saying that was like the solidest joke of. So good teamwork,
Yeah,
you two.
yeah, and but yeah, I did that last week or the week before, when Beej was like, I'm just gonna put grab a bunch of these things because I'm gonna use a bunch of them, and I was just like, I'm gonna have to put this. Actually, I'm gonna have to tell people that Beej told me to do this. We need to know who to blame. All right, well, let's see what other stories we got going on here. Diablo Immortal. This guy spending $100,000 in Diablo Immortal in in-game purchases, becoming so powerful that the matchmaking system couldn't find anybody powerful enough to fight him, so he couldn't play the game. Which has a nice kind of feel to it.
I mean, like, the thought. I mean, I think that Graham already talked about this, but just like spending $100,000 on a mobile game.
I mean, this guy's a streamer,
So
it's
like
that was
a
it was
business
like
expense.
well, and it's like I feel
Kinda.
like it's part of the shtick. It's like, people who like stream, like whatever, playing poker or something, where it's like look at how much money I'm spending, is like part of the appeal. Which is, to me, it sounds like a very dangerous kind of streaming to be doing.
Yeah, that's...
Especially since you now can't stream the game because you can't play it. Because you can't get into things. I was actually thinking about this, that like, it would be neat if, now, obviously the game should not be, it's reasonable, they didn't come up with an idea for what to do when somebody had spent $100,000. They were like, I imagine people at Blizzard are like, but why did he do that? We don't have that good a game. We don't have $100,000 worth of game. Please do not spend this money on it.
Absolutely. From my very limited experience with, like, knowing how mobile games are designed many years ago at this point. But like, they don't plan, like a whale is somebody who's spending thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And maybe even over a long time, they might spend that much money, but not this quickly, right? Like, there's no way for them to have planned for that.
Immortal has not been out that long.
Yeah, exactly. Like, then they're just like, they don't have anything for him because they haven't designed that content yet, right?
But I was thinking, like, it would actually be kind of neat for if they could, if a game like this could actually have, have situations where, in order to deal with, or not even in order to deal with it, but just as something that could happen, would be like, instead of, because they can't matchmake you anybody because you're super powerful, they like send 10 people after you, or like they do something with the matchup to make it actually work for it. It'd be kind of fun.
Maybe.
But
they turn him into like a raid boss, essentially.
That would be good. Yeah.
Oh.
That would be like turned into like a community event. Like the first like group of 25 players to down this guy.
Now I wonder if what they could do is build that, and then like have him do a few, and then like build a boss pattern, like build how the boss plays based on how he plays, right? That'd be cool. Maybe, but then now you're just for the amount of work that would be for development and stuff like that, I don't know if $100,000 pays for it.
That's true. Game development is expensive.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I don't think that these mobile games are designed to have the feature to promote one player to demigod level raid boss status. They probably didn't think that would happen.
So, anyway, it's entirely possible. I haven't seen if there's an update on this story. It's entirely possible that they will fix something for this in the next in a patch or something.
Yeah.
We have heard feedback that some Diablo Immortal players are unable to find matches in Battleground PvP, or might take a long time. We're looking into these reports. I'm not clear as to whether there are any other problems with this, whether it's just this guy, but they're not addressing this specific circumstance. In the world of Sony stuff, they are discontinuing accolades.
Yeah. That thing that nobody knew existed.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's just hilarious, and not surprising, but also very funny that that they developed a system so that people could give positive feedback, and nobody used it, and then now they're disabling it because it turned out nobody used it. And to be fair, nobody even knew it was there.
Yeah. Maybe the feature is great. I just think that how you access it or how they tell you about it, aka never, probably. Well, it's probably on a page in the manual. Did you read the manual?
No.
It's fucking it. It's not a complicated system.
Helpful, welcoming, good sport. Yeah, so you could mark people as like helpful, welcoming, or good sport. I don't know. I guess the idea was that it was like an additional level of feedback above the sort of like play of the game and that kind of stuff.
Right. I think it's also probably to try and track people who are maybe a bit rude between games.
There's also that weird like thing that you get in games where you have sort of this limited palette of things that you can say to other people. Like in Magic Arena, where people still find ways of making it insulting.
Yeah.
Like in Magic Arena, where you like somebody goes like "good game" when the game's not over.
Yeah, or sometimes when they're like trying to trick you into doing something, and it's like I ignore you.
Like even just these headings, right? Like if you just got like slammed by somebody, and somebody just like pulled off their ult in Overwatch and completely destroyed your whole team, and then you get a little thing being like, "They've marked you as good sport." I feel like that would be just kind of rubbing it in.
Maybe you don't see it.
Yeah, you've been awarded good sport 200 times.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't see... What if they're just like, it's just like a silent thing that updates, right?
Yeah. Or like, yeah, you were helpful.
Yeah. So there's no way to really troll with it. It's just for giving feedback. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. So, and then of course the other part of the story is that the PS5 still in high demand. I mean, I have some sympathy for Sony in this, because for all reports, they have been making them not only as fast as they can, but like they've made more
than they thought they would need to.
And they made more than there's way more PS5s out there than there were PS4s at this stage in this life cycle.
Yeah, it's because of the pandemic. Everybody wanted one for the pandini.
And then of course the semiconductor issues and that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So it's like they're trying.
Yeah, they're popular and people want them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like this. Says the person who got a PS5 very early, because at this point in the game, we as a group of people know how to get lots of a console right as it comes out. We've now done it twice before, or that was the third time we've done it. I feel like, it's a good console, right?
Yeah.
And also in this day and age, more than ever, as even opposed to the PS4, do you need a console that is a really elegant and easy to use way of switching between multiple subscription services. Right? Because your PS5 just doesn't play lots of good games that everybody wants to play. It also does Netflix and Amazon and Hulu if you have it, and you can do Plex through it and stuff like that. Like, it's very useful as a
general set-top box.
As a general set-top box.
Yeah, I mean, I just have like a Roku for doing that generally at home, but
yeah.
It's
the YouTube app is not great, but it's there.
It's weird the way, I mean, especially in this generation, you know, because the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and the are so close to just being PCs, right? Like every generation, the consoles get closer to PCs,
right?
And like the hardware they're not doing, like, there's nothing in a PS5 or in an Xbox that couldn't be in a PC. Like, it's all off-the-shelf components. But
Which
it's
wasn't
just
the case when these consoles came out.
Yeah, you know, consoles used to have all sorts of fancy stuff in them. That's not really the case anymore. But you know, it's got advantages in terms of being a stable target for manufacturers and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But it also means that cross-platform releases are way easier to do now. So like the number of games that are single platform is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, especially since most of the games that are like anything that's for Xbox is coming out for Windows as well. And so you only have you've got Sony and you've got Nintendo, but Nintendo's sort of way off on their own doing their own thing. As always.
Nintendo, like, I mean, Sony and Microsoft kind of know that they are at some point where when do they just designing specialty computers?
I mean,
they kind of are now,
that's
but
what they are,
like when does the veil drop, right? You know, and Nintendo is like, no, the Switch doesn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
You use the Switch to play the games that we have on this. What does this do? Play Nintendo games and the games that we wish to. This is a gaming device. It doesn't do YouTube, right?
Can you, is there a YouTube and Netflix apps and stuff for Switch? I don't think so. Is there?
I mean, if there are, I have not installed them, and I would not use them because there's no way they'd be good, right? Like, Nintendo's not the best at, like, network stuff.
It's true.
No, and Discordian Hawkins says nope.
And Nintendo's come out very clearly and said that. It's, that we're making a gaming device, not a, like, living room entertainment thing.
Hub. Yeah.
There was YouTube on Switch. But anyway,
Switch has Open Office.
Really?
Well, because you could just put something, you could just submit an app, like you could just submit something to the Nintendo App Store or whatever it is. Like, they're actually not as I feel like they're not as picky as you might think they would be, because there's some weird games that end up on the Switch store. We've covered them a lot here on ChillPoint.
That's true. Speaking of mobile things, which is sort of Switch related, there's the story that Kathleen wrote about the mobile industry falling apart. Oh no, they're all going to die.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it was. I hate those kind of like headlines where they say that these revenues are falling year over year. Because like
everything's fine is like a really terrible headline. So, they have to come up with something.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like, technically the number's not going up anymore, but it's still but like, I just feel like that is like, so if you look back, okay, this is my own personal bugbear, and I apologize. I think I'm going to talk for a couple of minutes. If you have to do the dishes or maybe just need to take a break, this might be a time to do it. On to my high horse. Finally, I get to have my say. So, all of these, you notice I quoted 3 analytics companies in this story.
Yeah.
Right? Because like mobile, I've never covered any other financial sector. So like maybe this is just how it's done, but there's no transparency really for like to get the information on how things are doing, you would basically have to hunt down like every single company's like year-end financials and do comparisons and stuff like that. And even then, like, you know, unless you're a shareholder, I think you get more opaque information. And so what these like big analytics companies do is they do that, right? And then they release these reports, which usually they give a copy of free to journalists so we can write stories about them, or like little portions. So, you know, this is the nuggets of information they've teased out.
And then they'll have sometimes they'll have like a paid subscription.
Yeah, because that's how they make their money, is that you in the business company who's running your own company and who does not have time to fucking follow up on your competitors, like, you know, shareholder disclosures. And then if they're not public, you get even less information, right? Blah, blah, blah. So you subscribe and you buy these reports. Now, the thing is, I'm not a journalist, so I don't have access to the free tidbits that have been shared. And I'm certainly not going to pay for these reports. So the only way for me to get information is to like figure out what I want to search for and then find, you know, whichever company actually teased out that little bitty boo.
The public disclosures.
Yeah. And then like all of the articles you write, and like no diss to a tech journalist, this is like their bread and butter, is you're literally just regurgitating this press report because it's interesting. And, you know, hey, here's the thing. And like that's your symbiotic relationship, because people actually do want to know that information. And you're just going to be like, hey, they've released this information and here's what they've found. And like, that's fine, because you've got to write like, I don't know, like 1 million articles a day. It's got to be worse than when I was working in that industry. Fuck, take those W's.
I mean, and you know, obviously, as we've talked about before, that's ChillPoint primarily. You know, primarily on ChillPoint, we're doing more kind of news aggregation and you know, we're not actually like reporting original news stories. We're taking things that other people have reported and that we think are funny and sort of expressing them in a different way. Occasionally, we accidentally do real journalism. But.
I mean, I feel like me actually just being like, hold up, don't just regurgitate this headline. Actually going in and looking,
which, by the way, I don't know if this is the case in other analytics industries, but mobile analytics companies have the stupidest names.
Well, okay. Here's
Sensor Tower, Newzoo, and App Annie.
App Annie actually changed their name.
Oh, really?
So like I struggled with this because the news report at the time said App Annie said this, but the company is now called Data.ai. But then I didn't want to say it in the story, Data.ai, and then show a picture of App Annie, because then I look wrong.
Right.
And then I didn't want to say App Annie, but now known as Data.ai, because who cares?
Yeah, it's like not an interesting piece of information.
That's correct journalistically, but that is a big old no comedically.
Also, Data.ai?
Yeah.
The implication being that, it's like AI generated data? That doesn't sound like what they want to do.
No, they probably are doing that because I think tech bros would be impressed that they have some sort of algorithmic component.
They're like, oh, AI, that's a big thing right now.
Oh, I'm sure they've already had that. I'm sure lots of companies have something that can scrape things and flag words for you.
Yeah, it's cryptodata.ai just to cover their bases.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
The end result of all this silliness is that yes, their first quarter 2022 as opposed to first quarter 2021 is lower.
Yes. But 2021 is higher than 2020.
Yeah.
It's way higher than 2019.
So they're still way above 2019.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If you read other articles, because like I had to read a lot of articles to find this information, and even then it's not like a perfect one-to-one comparison. I couldn't get like 3 years of U.S. app revenue data.
Yeah, because if in the story you'll hear that it's sort of you switch into the
the worldwide data.
Sort of partway through.
Yeah. Well, just because
that's easier info to get, I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. People like bigger numbers. It's more
Yeah.
interesting. I could have done more research. I was busy. But anyhow, what was I saying? Oh yeah, and I found articles in 2020 saying, "Hey, mobile growth has grown absolutely rapidly. We've done 2 or 3 years worth of growth in like a single year. This is an unprecedented time, and all of this money is up." It's like instead of going like this, you went like this. You're going to go back down and go back to your natural growth curve. Right? Like, God, it's not a need for panic. Not all growth can be exponential, just COVID, Christ.
And they just talk about, this thing with Niantic laid off 8% of its workforce, canceled 4 upcoming projects, which is one of those things where it's like, Niantic was working on 4 different unreleased projects. Like previously they've had one thing on the go at once.
Yeah, I mean Niantic keeps trying to make games that are not Pokemon Go and
no,
Ingress.
We don't like it.
And I feel because what it is they made Ingress, which was an actual very a super interesting and well designed game, and then they were like, all right, now we're gonna make Pokemon Go, and then Pokemon Go.
And that
is amazing.
That totally
but
exploded.
It's Pokemon themed Ingress.
Right.
And every other game has been like, well, maybe we can just re-theme Ingress. It's like, no, I actually don't think you can. And to varying degrees and stuff like that. But I just feel like
because they did the Harry Potter one that never really took off the way they wanted to.
Yeah.
That got discontinued a few months ago.
Yeah, but. And it was never people. I don't know. I feel like. Though I'm not a game designer, I feel like the game design space around look at your phone and throw things is it's tapped out, I think.
Pokemon Go, it's great for Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
It works really well.
Well, what if they accidentally on their first try absolutely perfectly nailed it? There's no other way to make this. They just got everything right as far as this is all the features you need to have.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, if we change it, it's wrong, right?
But there's one of the interesting things about reporting stuff is that you end up with these, a headline they've laid off 8% of their workforce, which obviously isn't great. But on the other hand, it's a really big company, and there are lots of situations where if with a company that big, reducing your workforce by 8% might just mean not hiring as many people. You've got a certain amount of turnover in your company.
Yeah.
Anyway, of people leaving for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then you're always constantly hiring new people. And so there's a thing where big companies will slow down hiring new people, and it will look like a actual cutting of their workforce, whereas that's actually sort of a slightly different thing. But anyway, there's that Pikmin game that was fun. I mean, that's more of a walking step counter, a fancy step counter. Walking with extra steps. Wait, no. Yeah.
I mean, here's the deal. I mean, walking. If I don't need to pay money to walk, which is essentially what an incubator does, right? It turns your walking into.
Right. I mean, the Pikmin one isn't so much. You don't have to pay money for it, really.
Yeah. If I'm going to walk, I will walk for my own joy of filling numbers.
You can get little flowers follow you around or something.
My phone has a step counter on it. I can look at it anytime I want.
But you don't get little flowers and little weird creatures following you around.
I have enough weird creatures following me around in my actual house.
That's fair. Hey, it's Sonic's 30th anniversary. Still.
Right.
I don't actually know if that's true. That could be not true, and I would not be able to call Beige on it.
No, I think we have to
He
accept
started
it.
like a story every single month, every single time for like the past like 2 months. At least one story has mentioned Sonic's 30th anniversary, and I have no idea whether it's true or not.
I mean, we could just look it up. And he's been lying to us the whole time. Is it because he's a devious mastermind, or because he's legitimately confused?
I think it was Sonic's 30th anniversary. I just don't know how long it will continue to be it.
Until morale improves, presumably.
This is talking about that there's the Mega Drive Mini 2, which is another one of these little micro console plug into a TV and you get 50 games in this case. But unfortunately, it's going to be extremely low allocations.
That's. I mean, how many people want that?
I don't know. But according to Sega seems to think about 1/10 of the people that wanted the previous one.
Maybe there's a big crate of the previous one sitting unsold.
Maybe. But
pry the semiconductors out of that.
The weird thing is because they're like so scarce, they put like pre-orders out on them, which I think are mostly pretty much all bought up now. But they haven't even released what all 50 games are yet.
Wow.
So the one thing about this that is amazing is that it's got a little Sega CD attachment thing. It's just cosmetic, but it still looks super cool. But it doesn't have Desert Bus, so
I mean,
what other Sega CD games do you want?
As announced, it doesn't.
Yes,
you could still do it.
Yeah, we got to figure out how to like get one and make a hacked version.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be that hard to load.
Say you could just put it on.
I mean, they could. They won't, but they could.
That's true. Somebody who works at Sega could sneak it in there, and you could have a cheat code to unlock it.
There you go. All right, and then the final, the coming up, we talked about the tiny arcade, the little cardboard. It's like a kind of like DIY Labo.
Yeah,
thing. It was super neat
like
idea.
A Labo.
Yeah, super neat idea, where using the phone to read like position codes off the back of a thing to do it, to make little control interfaces. But now, let's talk about some stories that we didn't get to during the actual episode. Remember how that whole thing about EA tweeting that they got in trouble because they did like what was it? They're a 10, but they only play single player games. They tried to like get in on that meme.
Yeah.
And
people got very upset.
People got it, including developers that work for EA making single player games.
Yeah.
Are like, what the hell, guys? And then they walked it back and did a bunch of stuff. So then I just thought this was funny that during the first quarter earnings call on Tuesday, Andrew Wilson, the CEO of Electronic Arts, said that single player games are really, really important to the company's future, despite only making up 30% of the publisher's total business. Our players, on balance, they have these core motivations: inspiration, escape, social connection, competition, self-improvement, creation. These things that bring us together as players of games. And as we think about single-player games, we think that it's a really, really important part of the overall portfolio that we deliver in the fulfillment of those core motivations. And then the story is, in the story it says, this sentiment, however, was swiftly undercut, following up a statement by the CFO saying, we think about the model impact and financial impact of it. I think the first thing to always keep in mind is that live services still encompass, on a trailing 12-month basis, over 70% of our business. and that has been proven very reliable, high recurring revenue stream, and will still be the prominent driver in our profit and loss over long term. So single-player games are really important, but live services
Are where we make all our money.
Yeah. So anyway.
Oh, you know what the best she's a 10 or the he's a 10 but joke I heard was? He's a 10 but 10:30 in Newfoundland.
I love that because it's like it's like, wait, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
Is that an insult to Newfies or a good thing about?
I think it's just clarification.
It's just like an odd.
But it's 10:30 in
I
Newfoundland.
love that.
Yeah, if you're a Canadian, just hearing that phrase on the CBC.
Yeah, hearing a number and then 10:30 and then that number 30 in Newfoundland.
Yeah.
Is so normal.
Yeah. Oh.
Dead by Daylight. The developers behind Dead by Daylight are revealing yet another game. These guys, they've been very busy. So because there's Dead by Daylight, there's the dating game that they just brought out or showed. That's like a visual novel, like date the killers from Dead by Daylight.
Yeah.
Which was everyone thought was just like a goofy meme, but is actually like a real dating sim that they are making.
I assume.
Date by Daylight?
I assume they got a lot of requests for that, which says a lot about how well written their Dead by Daylight is. That people felt attached enough.
People want more info about it.
Yeah.
Hooked on You, right? That's the name of the dating sim.
Oh, if only Now Kiss was here.
So there's another game that they have just released now called, or just previewed, called Meet Your Maker. Let me make this big and show you things. Hey.
Oh.
And so this actually, it sounds like a really neat idea. It's basically it's like you are raiding these fortresses. It's almost like a roguelike in that you're raiding these fortresses and you have to like go in past a bunch of traps and guards and things and get sort of a MacGuffin thing. But the trick is these fortresses are not procedurally generated. They are generated by other players.
Oh.
So it's sort of it's kind of like it feels like a
it's like a Mario Maker kind of situation.
Like a combative version of Mario Maker, right? Like it's like that thing that people do when they're like, oh, I'm going to play like this really hard level of Mario Maker, but actually making that like the core gameplay of the game.
Yeah.
Instead of the actual like designing levels being the core gameplay. The core gameplay is designing like a level that will kill your friends or kill other people.
I hope the game designers have designed some levels so there's some way that you can progress your skills through the game without immediately being put into a horrible meat grinder. Right? But that's amazing. That's kind of fun.
It seems like a neat idea. I mean, one of the things that I do always find about procedurally generated stuff, like I find there's something about like knowing that there is a real like intellect that there is like that you're going up against a thing that somebody else designed, as opposed to just like a computer algorithm came up with 5 billion of them.
It seems much crueler that a human did it.
Exactly, but it feels better for beating it. That it's like, haha, I got past this. So
yes,
I mean, presumably they're going to have to put a lot of checks or whatever. I don't know what they're going to have to do to make it so that you can't just like do complete, bullshit. But presumably they've worked that out as some way to make it so that you can make, to prevent people from making levels that are just straight impossible. But it seems like a super neat idea of kind of the sort of you're it's almost like tower defense. You have to build your tower defense base and then go raid other people's towers and stuff. So anyway.
Oh, Mario Maker, for a Brain Bosch in chat says, for Mario Maker, don't you have to beat it yourself to upload it?
You do. That's true.
All
so
right.
maybe they could do something like that.
I mean, I like you have to beat it. You have to beat it to be able to upload it.
Yeah.
So yeah. I always now you said it's not like this is like serious, not like Mario Maker. I have always felt that the intent of all those Mario Maker levels was like absolute hostility and murder. Right?
Oh, that is definitely the intent of some Mario Maker levels. I was saying the sort of advertising and presentation of Mario Maker is like you can make whatever levels you want.
Right.
You can make all sorts of fun levels. It's not like it's not. They're not specifically saying you should always be making the levels that are just going to destroy your friends.
Right.
But that is something that people do often, and there's lots of YouTube videos of like, I'm going to play this really stupid hard level, and the talent of some of those people who are playing these things using like all the weird like glitchy, like throw a turtle shell and then jump on it before it leaves your hands, and then fly up and go through a wall. It's amazing stuff.
It is.
Yeah, Kaizo levels.
Yeah. Thor Sokar says, in Mario Maker, you have to beat it without dying from the start and from each checkpoint to upload it.
Right.
Oh, so multiple times, essentially.
Yeah. Oh man, somebody in this Meet Your Maker game, speaking of Mario Maker stuff, I'm very excited to see if people start, as well as making levels that are, very intricate and devious and killing their friends or killing other people, also make levels that are just like, like the Mario Maker, like autoplay music levels.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're like, okay, we got our whole team together, let's go raid this base. You get in and then you just like stand on like a you stand on a piano note, you're like, what's happening? And then you just start playing like a whole song as you go play Uptown Funk or whatever. You just get transported around, be like, help, we can't control our bodies.
I wonder if you can make like the joke levels, the troll level, like not like rude trolling, but like you go in and it's just like a bunch of sheep or something like that. Me.
I hope so.
Non-lethal sheep.
We were talking about Pokemon stuff, but you know what came around before Pokemon? Probably. Is it before
Digimon?
Pokemon? I don't know. Neopets.
Oh, Neopets.
They're not really Pokemon in the sense that you're like fighting with them, but
Right.
Neopets, which have had some bad press in the last while. I believe there was an attempt to make NFTs out of them, and then that didn't go. Because like another company, a different company took them over and various things. I think that's not what this is about. And I think the NFT idea went down the tubes, as it should. They did have a problem where they had a data breach, so they got hacked. As far as they know, they didn't lose any they didn't lose any like confidential player data, but they did force a password change on everybody,
right,
which is not an uncommon thing to do in this.
No.
Problem is, Neopets have been around for a really long time.
Yeah.
Like, I remember people, and they have, unlike a lot of things in the digital world, they have been consistently, like, they've existed for that really long time. Like, people will have accounts.
Yeah.
And in some cases, people have accounts that are substantially older than their current email addresses.
Yeah.
Like, you might have to get, it could be a account from like your high school email server or something.
It's going to your Hotmail account if it was 1999.
Yeah, or it's Julia Munt says tied to my dial-up email account or
Oh,
your AOL email account. So the problem is, they sent out change your password. They locked everybody's accounts and sent out change your password, like forced change your password emails to the emails they had on file.
right.
A lot of apparently there's a good chunk of them that are not accessible by the people anymore, and it never was an issue
Because these people, like,
because you just log into the account or whatever.
yeah.
And so they could have updated their email address in the back end at any point in the last 10 years, but they didn't. So people are like, no, my Neopet is dying.
Yeah, well,
Because the whole thing, Neopets, if you don't like log in and do you have to take care of it, right?
right.
And so people who, they
There's some emotional distress there. This is a house plant they've kept alive for 20 years at this point. Like,
Yeah,
let's be
yeah.
honest. Bitecaster has the question, how many bounced? I would love to know how many bounced.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
many, I bet. I mean, there's actually, maybe they only, like, I'm sure they probably just, if somebody hadn't logged in like 15 years, they probably just, closed the account. Can they do that? And just not worry about it? Is it worth it?
Yeah. So anyway, hopefully Jumpstart, the company that owns them now, will be able to hopefully they will be able to come up with some sort of resolve the system somehow, that people won't be stuck without being able to access their pets that they've been dealing with for whatever 20 years.
The Americat says, how many couldn't even be sent because the domains no longer exist?
And this is one of these things where it's like, Neopet, it's a silly thing, right? It's just like a little fun little thing that you have on the internet. But people, you get a connection to this stuff, and you feel a sense of ownership, and even though it's only digital and only a little picture on a screen, it can really affect people.
Well,
It's not like it's not nothing.
I described it as a house plant.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it isn't like you're not like, it's, I don't know, maybe somebody would have a deeper emotional attachment to it, but I've had some house plants for a very long time. I'd be quite upset if they died. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm like, oh no, I'd had that for years. Right? I'd be sad. So,
Yeah. So anyway, I have no more information on that yet, but hopefully they'll be able to figure it out.
Oh, wait, can I cut in with like one dumb short story that's not on your list very briefly since it's already 3 o'clock?
Go ahead.
Koch Media, which owns video game publishers like Deep Silver and Warhorse, has rebranded itself as PlayOn, but PLAION, but it sounds like Play On.
Right.
So this is part of the Embracer empire, the Embracer company that was itself a different company. And then it was like THQ, they like bought something and they were like THQ Nordic. And then they're like, and then they became Embracer because like they kind of just like buy things. Anyhow, now, Koch Media is not related to the infamous Koch brothers. But they say
it isn't. Oh.
No, I don't think so.
Good that they changed their name then, because I assumed that's who they were.
I think that okay, here's the deal. Like, I don't know if they are or not. I feel like if they were, somebody would have told us by now. Like, that's the kind of thing that's like kind of important to know, right? But I don't think they are. I think it's just an unrelated company. It's KOCH, like they're German or something like that, or like from that area of Europe. But they just say it was because people had trouble pronouncing their name. They didn't mention that there's an infamous group of people that share that name. Yes, the
Friends Koch. Yeah. So it's different. It's
different
just not.
Kochs.
It's not an uncommon.
Yeah. Oh, Koch means chef in German, so it's not that uncommon a word.
A different Koch.
Yeah.
Well,
so there you go.
Then it's probably just as well they changed their name.
It's a common last name, says Gravity Pike. Well, there you go. So the point being, yeah, they don't mention that in the press release, but I wonder how much of it had to do with that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my
But yeah,
conspiracy theory.
that whole like Embracer media, like it's wild the way like how like THQ, got like split up, and then when the like the flowchart of what the hell happened in that thing is just it's very confusing.
It looks like where to start listening to King Gizzard. Flowchart is so complicated.
Yeah, I feel like somebody needs to make some sort of 20-minute long YouTube video about it. Probably.
Yeah. Maybe that could be us, Paul.
Maybe it could.
Contact Mangled Pixel. Can't you just see like motion graphic lines coming in and connecting different logos with little ears that blossom out from underneath it as the lines go through?
Yeah, I mean, if I cared more about like corporate structuring, like I care enough to maybe like watch a 20-minute video, but not to like spend the 10 hours to make a 20-minute video.
Oh, I think it would be only. I think it would take a lot longer than 10 hours.
Yeah, you're right.
I think it would take because you'd have to like do all the research.
Yeah.
That's probably at least 10 hours, and then you got to write it. That's another probably another 10 hours because you don't do it all at once. You sort of like do it for a bit, and then you come back and read over it again or do it in pieces because it would be like annoying.
Yeah.
And then you have to talk to Jen and say, Jen, here's what I want, and explain it and send her a bad drawing. and then you have to actually make it. Then you got to film it. Then you got to edit it.
Maybe
50 hours.
Upon further thought, maybe we shouldn't do this.
Well, what if we did it about something really dumb that I really liked?
Like where to start listening to King Gizzard.
No, people have already made that graph.
Oh, have they? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have some issues about it, but not as much as that I want to spend that much time and effort correcting them. I don't know, maybe a THQ Nordic explainer. That could be interesting. It could just be useful.
Red Dead Online, the world of cowboys and things, is not doing so well. Apparently, it's a bit of a ghost town.
Because people have stopped playing it?
No.
Oh.
The problem is not that. The reason it's a ghost town is not because people have stopped playing it. It's a ghost town because the NPCs have left. Apparently,
Didn't they have this problem before?
They had this problem before, and it's apparently happened again.
This is a weirdly specific problem that only has happened to this game.
NPCs and like animals and random stuff has just all disappeared from the game.
Did somebody delete a table in a spreadsheet somewhere?
And so like stuff is still like a horse and carriage will like go along, but there'll be nobody in the horse and carriage, and like there'll be
Is there no horse either?
Probably, yeah. Like
carriage?
It's carriages, no passengers, trundle down silent streets, bustling, rustic cabins full of people's belongings, but no actual people.
Oh, cool.
This has happened before. Why this is particularly significant is this bug comes after the fairly recent announcement from Rockstar that the game will not be receiving updates because they're transitioning to the team to start working on Grand Theft Auto 6. So hopefully there's still people like doing bug fixes. So, and again, maybe there isn't an update on the story on Polygon, but maybe hopefully things have gotten fixed by soon.
Alternately, someone in chat said that's got a bit. Rustin Kirk said that feels like some Westworld stuff. So just put up a quick thing on the loading screen that says Westworld Edition. Problem solved.
Exactly. Yeah. And actually, speaking of online open world type games. I keep doing stories about these things like Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead and Sea of Thieves, which all share this aspect that I find hilarious and fascinating, which is that they're all online, you know, massively multiplayer online games that you are playing an outlaw. You are playing ostensibly a bad guy.
Right, you're a pirate, or
You're a pirate, or you're a criminal, or you're like you can play like a bandit in Red Dead, but the game doesn't want you to do, like, you can only do bad things in the game under very controlled circumstances, right?
Yeah.
So Sea of Thieves Season 7 has just been announced, and they showed a bunch of the cool stuff in it. If you're a big fan of Sea of Thieves, looks like there's a lot of cool new stuff. But I just love these announcements where it's like, we have all new things for your pirates to do. You can go and, you can go in bigger ships and go and fight other people and steal their booty and do all this stuff. And then you can go to the store and buy all these custom outfits for your guy. And be like, couldn't I steal the stuff from the store? I'm a pirate, right? Like, and then you can follow the very clear commerce thing. Don't deviate. Don't try to do anything weird. You can only do piracy in very specific pirate-oriented places.
Yes, and not to mention metatextually, this is a thing that you are paying you're paying for.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
the privilege
the privilege of being there. You abide by their code of conduct while you're
to be
doing
honest,
this.
it is very Westworld. To be honest.
Yeah, this is
It is like, I want to be a black hat guy, and so like all the little stuff, but like you paid a bunch of money to do that.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I guess that's the thing behind Westworld.
Oh, it's some sort of commentary on society.
What do you mean? You mean Westworld might have something to say about? Yeah.
It is funny though that this is like within all the laws that we obey. This is where you get to do your bad instincts. You get to get them out by pretending to be a naughty pirate.
It's hilarious to see ads for Sea of Thieves, and I'm sure this will happen to Ubisoft. Was it Skull and Bones or whatever their new game is, where they want to advertise the game in which you are a pirate, but they don't want to tell people to be a pirate when they're advertising the game, because pirating a game has a specific connotation.
That doesn't mean, when they say be a pirate, that means
be a pirate, but buy our game.
Yes.
Don't pirate the game. Be a pirate in the game.
I
Anyway.
think that could be like I feel like that's like a TikTok level like sketch. It doesn't need to be longer than 30 seconds.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it's just like it's like one person explaining that. So it's like, so here's the problem. And then a bunch of the other marketers are like, huh. And then it cuts to like darkness and crickets. And it's still like, yeah. Right. It's just like a long cut.
Yeah. So anyway, new Sea of Thieves coming out, and you're going to be able to make really big ships that you can now buy and have you can customize them and do all fancy stuff. Actually, the other thing that I love about this that's in this update is they're big on their cosmetic stuff, all sorts of different pirate outfits and things. But then there's also a bunch of there's like awards and achievements and stuff you can get, because you can like buy your pirate. You can buy your big pirate ship, and you have like your captain's quarters, and you can like decorate your captain's quarters and put up, and you can get like you can get trophies and different things for accomplishing different things in the game, which is great. What I love though is that they are all the trophies and things are like physics objects.
Oh, so you can toss them around.
Well, no, and also like when your ship gets into like a storm,
Oh.
they'll all get like knocked out. You have to like fix them all up.
Oh.
Or if like things are knocking your ship around, or you get into a fight or whatever, things will fall off the shelves.
I feel like in real ships they probably glued that stuff down.
They probably didn't have like random things like hang out on shelves. Like
Yeah.
if you look at like Navy ships now, there's like stowing things is a very particular task.
Do you think that maybe our mental image of what a pirate ship captain's quarters/office is like has been perhaps somewhat influenced by the movie Hook? Because there was just
like-
stuff everywhere.
And
in
like
that.
Pirates of the Caribbean,
Yeah, exactly. Because it's got to look good on camera, so you got
it's-
some out of control set dressing.
yeah. I mean the conception of pirates it's one of those things. I mean, pirates, are in the same realm now as like Vikings, right? Where like they're fun.
Yeah.
Where they have this like there's this bloody horrible history
Yeah.
associated with them of conquering and killing people and doing all this bad stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I
But-
think Vikings are still way worse than pirates for the amount of conquering and killing and
Right.
pillaging they did.
But somehow we've it's been long enough,
Yeah.
and we've sort of modified, we've sort of adapted the like
Yeah.
tropes of it so much.
Yeah, the biggest lingering influence of that in sort of the collective consciousness, at least among like Vikings, I think, is like, there's a lot of tall, fair people in northern England. We got all these words that are inexplicably pretty close to Danish in the language still, right? Like,
Yeah.
you could argue that Vikings are pirates.
A subset of pirates, I suppose.
Yeah.
Boop, 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 boop. The analog pocket, that fancy like Game Boy emulation thingy.
I think Graham got one of those. Yes, he got one.
They just released their 1.1 patch,
Right.
which opened they open sourced or opened up their the FPGA system, so the internal system, and so people have been doing all sorts of interesting stuff with experimenting with different creating different emulators. Apparently people have made a well, for one thing, the analog pocket is set up so that you're supposed to actually like put real cartridges into it.
Yes.
And so obviously people have made it so
You can
people have made versions of the of GBA and Game Boy emulators that can just run ROMs off a
Right.
SD card.
Right.
But then people have also made what's the Neo Geo stuff.
Ooh.
So all the Neo Geo, like the fighting games and the so basically like any sort of emulators, emulate like Metal Slug games or that kind of stuff. Basically anything that any people have been coming up with emulators, anything that's sort of roughly that generation in terms of consoles. You can do all sorts of interesting things, and so big ups to the analog folks for
Making that possible.
yeah by sort of they said that this was something that they wanted to do, and so
And they did it.
yeah for
That's nice.
Living up to their thing and actually allowing access to that. And speaking of living up to what you're doing, I guess, the Midnight Society.
Oh,
Dr.
yeah.
Disrespect's AAA game studio.
Yeah.
AAA game studio. I don't know if you get to be called that before you make a game.
I know what their game is called. It's called Dead Rop.
Yep, Dead Rop. Dead Rop is the name of the game.
Well, because if they wanted to call it Dead Drop,
They would have needed an extra D.
they would have needed 2 Ds. And Dead Drop, I guess they just want us to, like, they don't want it to be two separate words, and the two Ds would look weird. So, but they were like, I mean, so they went with Dead Rob,
Yeah.
which I'm being a little cartoony here, but also your name is Dr. Disrespect, so you've got to be able to take it if you're going to dish it, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not the greatest name.
No.
Sorry.
Sorry.
And other things that aren't the greatest is this the
reception.
the demo this preliminary gameplay demo that they've released of it,
Yeah.
which is like,
It looks fine.
it's like, okay, cool. Glad this is going to be such an exciting, innovative game from 2005.
Yeah,
Like,
okay, so you're making a shooter. Okay. Like,
so you've made like a Call of Duty game. Cool, I guess.
yeah. I mean, I really like this is like super early alpha.
Yeah, but it's just like, I don't know why even really like show that as like to get people
Yeah.
excited. It's like
not exciting.
it's like I feel like you could make this like this could easily just be made with like Unity asset stuff. Like
I mean, like I've seen games that look fairly similar to this on Watch and Play, right? As like going around shooting, like maybe a little nicer than some of those, but those are just Unity store assets.
yeah, so it's like
Right?
it's not you're not showing off like whatever you're going to be doing in your game to make it exciting and different for people.
Yeah. Oh, Diamond MX says it's supposed to be an Escape from Tarkov game.
I think that's what extraction shooter means. I
It
haven't
looks like-
even I've never heard of the extraction shooter as a genre. Is Escape from Tarkov like did they
I
kind of
thought it's like
start
a
like their own
survival thing,
thing?
right?
They do their own thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tarkov is its own weird beast, right? Tarkov did actually something like fairly innovative in that shooty space, right? Because like, you know, it's a shooty game sort of, but I feel like more realistically it's a backpack inventory game and all of the enjoyment that you get from that, right?
right.
Like
I mean,
people like
that's
those
the main
kinds of
part.
games.
Yeah. Oops. I showed. I didn't intend to, but you just saw the Google Doc that
Oh.
we're working from, which gave you no information because it just lists the stories that we just went through.
Oh.
A violent Tetris.
Classic murder Tetris.
Murder Tetris. So anyway, I think those were all of the stories
Well,
we want to talk about.
yeah. I don't think I have anything else to talk about. No.
I was happy. I saw in the YouTube comments, people were a lot of people were right on what as isekai anime Beej was talking about.
Oh.
People
okay.
figured that out very fast.
Of course he did. Of course they did. I'm glad that they have that in common and they can share their interest.
It's a fairly unique premise.
Which anime was it?
I don't remember. Somebody in chat will tell us. I don't remember the name.
Why tell me? Because it'll be meaningless. You could make something up and I would be just as ignorant.
Uncle from Another World.
Oh.
I mean, chat could have made that up too.
And we wouldn't know. It's heavily promoted by Netflix for a couple of weeks now. Oh, the only thing I ever see on my Netflix recommends is children's cartoons.
Although speaking of which, Sandman just came out on Netflix, which I'm actually kind of excited about. I haven't seen anything with it, but I did very much enjoy the comics of Sandman. And I like Neil Gaiman, so you know.
I definitely read them, but like I borrowed them from my boyfriend at the time, and like so I really only read them once, right? Because they were his and he liked them, and I got to read them, so I wanted to be respectful and return them. Not a trait I carried into adulthood though. But you know, so it's been a very long time since I read those comics, like 20 plus years. I don't really remember anything except for the Corinthian being cool.
I mean, it's probably for the best. Like, you know, whenever you do these adaptations, they obviously change lots of stuff. So
Oh, that's true.
not being like totally up on the comics is probably for the best.
Yeah.
You're not going to be like, but they changed the thing.
Oh, Neil has been heavily involved and is very proud of it. I feel like that's the only way.
I mean, considering how good the Good Omens series was, I have high hopes for which Gaiman was heavily involved with as well. So I have high hopes. Then again, he was also, I think, fairly involved with the American Gods series, which was like, so.
I don't know. Maybe I should read it again. I feel like I might actually get more out of it this time. Because, when you read things when you're a teenager, like, I don't know.
It has a lot of sort of metaphorical stuff in it.
Yeah, and like references to other things that you don't necessarily realize are references, right? Like, if say the person writing the book is well read, they'll like slip in things that you don't know what they are, so they bounce right off your smooth brain when you're a kid.
Anyway, let's talk about that. That was
That was
ChillPoint. Thank you everybody for watching, and I hope you actually check out the episode of Checkpoint if you have not. Although I guess we spoiled it if you hadn't watched it before this.
Oh, we should have tagged this. We should have started with a spoiler warning at the beginning. Oh,
no, it's the episode of Checkpoint is like the pre-show for this show.
Oh, finally.
Yeah, there you go.
We're on the big time here.
So thanks everybody for watching, and we will talk to you later.